Hello everybody. So thank you for checking out Crush 'em Customs. This is my racing lawnmower. This is how I always set them up. So I've watched people race and I've known a lot of racers. I've built a couple racing mowers myself. I usually build monster mowers, but I'm starting to get more into racing and stuff. And I really don't meet anybody else's rules, which I don't care because I think this thing is awesome. So most people that race lawnmowers usually use like a Peerless 700 series transaxle and a vertical shafted engine, so they've got a positive traction rear end. So they take their vertical shafted engine, they mount like a Peerless 700 series here that goes from a sprocket to a chain so they can have positive traction rear end. I think that's kind of crazy because most people I know that race don't keep shifting gears and stuff when they are racing. My take is that I set them up completely different. And here, let me show you how. I'm going to lower this for you. So doing it my way has a lot of advantages. A, it's so much more simplified. You know, you don't have to worry about as much BS going wrong with a belt-driven and a chain drive, but to each his own. I also don't put brakes on the front, which I don't plan on slamming on my brakes either. It's just one thing. I like the hand throttles, as you can see. I like the hand throttle and the hand brake, just because I'm used to riding a motorcycle. I go out and I buy a brand new Harbor Freight 212cc engine. You don't need anything bigger. This is small enough to where it fits perfectly with your centrifugal clutch on the side or your torque converter on the side. I put a direct drive steer on here. The direct drive goes under the frame and out to the front. I weld my front axle on top of the frame. As you can see, it's a little bit wider. This is about a 40, I can't remember the exact dimensions of it, but it sits nice and low. And then I use a 62 sprocket. And I'm a bigger guy. I have disc brakes and a 62 sprocket in the back with a 42 or a 40 size chain. And I use 18-inch back tires. And the front tires as well, they're just regular turf tread. I mean, they're nothing special. Let me show you what I use to balance my tires too. So this is pretty neat. I know in the U.S. military, they use bags of beads inside a lot of tires and stuff. And then the bags of beads, they'll disintegrate and release these little beads like this into the tire, which balances your tire. They use them in motorcycles too, some cars. But it did absolutely fantastic when balancing this. I can have this thing topped out and take my hand off the wheel at about 33 miles an hour is the top speed. But when I give it gas, the front end picks right up. No problem. So as you can see, I've got the brakes, I've got the gas, and a lot of I feel, you know, and again, this is just for me. I'm not talking about safety stuff, but a lot of the rules and regulations that they have for a lot of lawnmower clubs are way too strict. And I can understand safety. I'm not talking about safety. I'm just talking about the build. So I build mine completely different, and this is how I build them. Nobody else I've seen builds them like this. And I'm more than happy, you know, if people want to build them this way, you're more than welcome to. Like I said, I took the transaxle, sold the transaxle for $50, sold the engine for $100. I had basically the chassis. I went to Harbor Freight. I got this engine for $100. Got the centrifugal clutch on the side for another $50. You know, odds and ends, I had to rejet it with a 37 thousandths jet. I got the aftermarket air intake, oil breather intake. I hocked a lot of bicycle parts for my. Those are bicycle levers there. My axle was a little bit. I do have tubes in the tires, you know, your sprocket and your brakes. I probably have about $150 into this entire build. I'm somebody that believes in build it, don't buy it. And the reason why lawnmower racing, in my book, is so popular is because it doesn't cost you $2,000 to build a racing lawnmower. Now, people do spend that kind of money, believe it or not. I'm one of them that doesn't spend that kind of money. I like to just build it. Again, this thing's structurally sound. I've hit train tracks with it, a couple potholes so far. Hasn't broken apart. You know, all these jagged edges and stuff I filed so they're not sharp. I'm not really I don't care about cutting them down because anybody that gets near it shouldn't be trying to cut themselves with it anyway. To absorb some of the bumps and stuff, I just left the stock springs in there. But yeah, that's basically it. I used a 3/4 inch axle in the back. I used stock lawnmower spindles. I greased the hell out of everything. It's been absolutely fantastic. And like I said, this is my build. I'd like to start up a racing club where we just build them. I mean, you don't have to put $1,000 into building something. So anyway, 6.5 horsepower. It's not very much horsepower, but if you use a torque converter, it's plenty of horsepower. I think it's balanced very nicely where the most of the weight is right in the center. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching.